Lao Tzu says that whenever something comes near perfection, it becomes silent. Let us understand this from a Taoist story. There is one story that I like it very much. An emperor told the greatest archer of his court that now there is no one greater than you, so you declare it in the state, and if no one comes forward, then I will declare you the greatest archer of the state. The gatekeeper who was standing at the gate laughed, because the archer said that, "What is the question of the announcement? The announcement could be made tomorrow, and no archer could compete with me." When the gatekeeper laughed, the archer was surprised. While returning, he asked the old gatekeeper, "Why did you laugh?" He said that I laughed because you don't even know archery. I know a man, you first meet him, and then declare that you are the greatest. But the archer said that, "How can there be such a person whom I do not know? Because I am the greatest archer." The gatekeeper said that, "No one would know who is a greater archer than you." This attempt to make everyone know that I am the best, these are all small mind games. You wait, don't hurry, otherwise you will get into trouble. I will give you the address of that man. You go there. The archer kept searching for that man, who lived in the deep forest. He reached him and stayed with him for 3 days. Then he realized that the journey of archery had not even started yet. He learned archery by sitting at that man's feet for 3 years. But then in his mind, he started feeling afraid that the old assurance that there was no one greater than him as an archer no longer existed. This simple man used to sell wood in the village. He was such a great archer, and no one even knows about him. I don't know how many more hidden people there might be. But after staying with him for 3 years, his assurance returned. That man was amazing. Any object in his hands could turn into an arrow. Even if he threw a piece of wood, it would become an arrow. He was so skilled that he could kill someone by throwing a small piece of wood. That injury was so subtle and at such a precise place that injury was enough that not a single drop of blood should fall, and the person would die. He learned everything in 3 years, and then he felt that he could announce. But now he had only one difficulty, that this is his master, even if I declare it, and this master is not the one who will come to protest, but his presence will remain in my mind that I am number 2. So he thought that he should leave only after finishing his master. The master was returning after cutting wood in the morning. Hiding behind a tree, his disciple shot an arrow at the master. The master was quietly returning after cutting wood. He had nothing in his hand. When he saw the arrow coming, he took out a small piece of wood from the bundle of wood and threw it. That piece of wood hit the arrow, and the arrow returned and pierced the disciple's chest. The master who had run away came, took out the arrow, and said to the disciple that, "I had stopped myself from teaching you just one thing, because the master must be careful of the disciple, because the final danger may come from him. But now I have told you that also, and now you don't need to kill me. You understand that I am dead. You can go now. I am a simple woodcutter, and from today, I have given up archery. But before going, keep one thing in mind. My master is still alive. And it is enough to learn from me in 3 years. But to learn what my master has, you will need 30 lifetimes or even more. So before announcing that you are the greatest, at least visit him." He felt hopeless. It seemed impossible to be the best archer in the world. He asked, "Where is your master and what makes him so good? Because after seeing you, I can't even imagine anyone being better." His master said that even now I had to throw a piece of wood, even with such a sound, such an effort, even with the use of such an object, my archery skills are lacking. Even the eyes of that master of mine could have returned the arrow. His thought could also have returned the arrow. You go to the mountain. I will tell you the location. You search there. That man traveled to the mountains. All his ambitions have turned to dust. There was no one on that mountain except an old man whose back was bent. He asked the old man that I have heard that. A very famous archer lived here. I have come to see him. The old man looked at this young man and said that I am the one whom you have come to search for. But if you want to learn archery, then why do you have a bow hanging around your neck? The man said, What do you mean? How can archery be learned without the bow? So the old man said, When you've mastered archery, you don't need the bow anymore. The need for it exists only until you haven't gained the knowledge. And when the music is finished, the musician breaks the instrument because it becomes a hindrance. If you still need the instrument, it means you haven't fully trusted yourself yet. Right now, the music doesn't come from within. Right now, you need an instrument or tool. When the goal is achieved, the tools are no longer needed. Still, you've come here, so be it. Do you think your aim is perfect? The young man said, They're absolutely accurate. I hit the target every time, 100 out of 100. What more could there be beyond this? The limit has been reached. My 100% of shots hit the target, and not a single one misses. The old man laughed and said, This is just child's play. Counting percentages is child's play. Come with me. And the old man led him to the edge of a cliff, where there was a terrifyingly deep gap below and a rocky ledge extended over it. The old man, with a slight stoop in his walk, went and stood by the edge of the cliff, where half of his foot was hanging over the edge, and only the balance of his foot kept him on the ledge, where a single wrong step would make him fall forever. He told the young man, Now you also come closer and stand by me just like this. That young man said that, I don't have the courage, my hands and legs tremble. The old man said, When hands and legs tremble, how can the aim be hit? If the hand trembles, the arrow will tremble as it leaves the hand. Your targets would have been hit, because the objects you choose are quite big. You chose a parrot. A parrot is a big thing. Even if your hand is trembling a little, the parrot will die. But if you get nervous and tremble and your hands tremble, then remember, the soul within you will also tremble. No matter how subtle that vibration may be, when that vibration is lost, then one becomes an archer. And when that vibration is lost, then there is no longer any need for the bow and arrow. The old man raised his eyes upward. A line of 30 birds was flying by. As his eyes moved up and down, all 30 birds fell down. The old man said, When the soul doesn't tremble, just the thought that birds will fall down is enough. This very thought becomes the arrow. So Lao Tzu says, A skillful runner leaves no footprints. If footprints are made by someone who is skilled in running, then he is lacking in skill. Whenever we walk on the ground, footprints are formed. But when birds fly in the sky, no footprints are left. The deeper the skill becomes, the more it becomes like the sky. The deeper the skill becomes, the more subtle it becomes and no longer gross. Footprints are made in the gross, but no footprints are made in the subtle. And the more subtle the existence becomes, then no trace is left behind. If you run on the ground, footprints will be made. But there is a way to run in such a way that one can run without leaving any footprints behind. It is a question of speed of consciousness. The greater the speed of consciousness, the less time will be required. The lower the speed of consciousness, the more time will be required. Until now, nothing has been done, in scientific sense, on the speed of consciousness. This story teaches us that real skill and mastery involve being humble and not seeking attention or praise. Instead of trying to show off or leave a big mark, it's about quietly doing things well. It's like being so good at something that you don't need to brag about it or leave a trail behind. It's also about being really focused and aware of what you're doing in the moment, without letting your ego or desire for recognition get in the way. So, the moral is to be skillful, humble, and mindful in everything you do.